Welcome to the Eagle River Real Estate Market Update. My name is Jamin Goecker. I'm an associate real estate broker in the state of Alaska, and my mission, as always, is to help you to build an intentional and significant legacy for yourself and your family by coaching in real estate. And today, we're looking at the small but mighty real estate market of Eagle River. Now, Eagle River technically is a suburb of Anchorage. It's just north of it. It kind of marches to its own tune for the most part, though, and that really isn't the exception when we're looking at the real estate market. And this has kind of been, I say small but mighty, because there is usually a lot of demand for this market here. It's one of the most sought after areas in the entire municipality of Anchorage. Before we get started though, make sure you go ahead and like this video, subscribe, do all that good stuff. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers, and we're getting pretty close, and it would really mean a lot if you did that, because that's been a goal I've had for years at this point. So please go ahead and do that, and let's go and jump into today's market update, looking first at the single family part of the real estate market. Now, the first thing we're going to look at for the single family market is just how many properties are available. So this time last year there were 41, and now there are 62. So that is proportionally a pretty big increase for the number of properties that are actually available for the month of June, when we have the most complete information. And so that is a pretty good, healthy sign that we're starting to swing back to normal. But looking historically, usually we'd see anywhere from about 160 to about 200 properties, and for us to just be at 62 right now really shows that there's still really a shortage of inventory. Now, not to the point where it's 41 properties anymore like it was last year. We are improving, but ways to go, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Now, this time last year for the month of June, we had 64 properties that actually sold, and now we're looking at about 43. Now, that's right. So we're seeing an increase for the inventory. We're seeing a decrease for the number of properties that are actually selling. So one thing I would keep in mind on this doesn't mean that, oh, well, there's no demand for properties in Eagle River anymore. No, I'm not really seeing that, because keep in mind the influx of inventory right now is not going to show up in closed inventory for another couple months here. So really the way I'd read this right now is just say, well, we're probably having a bit of a slow start to the year because there was some shuffling around just with interest rates and everything a couple months ago, and I think that's probably impacting the market here to a certain extent. Let's hold off and see for the next couple months. I can say that the demand for properties in Eagle River, anecdotally on the ground, definitely not going anywhere. It is definitely a pretty fast-paced market. All right, now what we're seeing for the average sold price is this time last year, the year-to-date was about $496,000, and this year it is $496,000. So this I'm kind of curious about, because I would expect to continue seeing an increase for the average sold price for properties in Eagle River, and we're not quite seeing that just yet. Now, keep in mind, this is still not quite the meat of the bell curve where we would expect to see just prices taking off like gangbusters like they do during the summertime. Usually we're not going to see those numbers until we'll see the reported numbers around August, September actually, because keep in mind, properties go under contract and then it's going to take them 2 months to close, and then we don't get that data until till the beginning of the new month. So this data can be a little delayed in us getting it, but prices are holding steady in Eagle River. We're definitely not seeing the double-digit increase for the average sold price, because this time last year, we see that the average sold price was up by about 6%, the year before that by 10%. And so I am definitely going to be paying pretty close attention to the average sold prices here in Eagle River for the single family, because that has historically not been a part of the market we've really had to keep that close of an eye on. All right, let's go and switch gears and take a look at what's going on in the condo market. So in the condo market this time last year, there were 5, and this year there's 7. And yeah, like I said, condos are, like I've said multiple times before, condos are just not that big of a part of the real estate makeup here in Eagle River. I suspect it's going to become a bigger part moving forward as we're kind of running out of land to develop. And so we're going to see more and more condos going up to try to accommodate people who still do want to live here. So just looking at that, though, it does look like we're seeing a slight increase for the condos that are available. Keep in mind, though, usually like pre-COVID, we were seeing anywhere from about 20 to about 30 condos on the market for the month of June. So that's that is something to kind of keep in mind, that yes, it does look like it's going up, but not by as much as we would like it to get back to those pre-COVID numbers. Now, for the number of condos that have actually sold this time last year, it was 8, and this year it is 7. So not a whole lot of movement there one way or the other. Usually around this time of year, we would see about 7 condos that were selling, maybe upwards to like 12, something like that. Really, it was the past couple years with all the turbulence where we did see like upwards of like 20 condos that were selling for the month of June. And, I'm not really seeing that happening anytime soon here, just based off the inventory. But this is something we will continue to track because, like I said, I think the condo market in Eagle River is going to become more popular as we move forward. Looking at the average sold price, we see the average sold price went from about $296,000 to about $328,000. So that means we're seeing about an 11% increase for the average sold price for condos in Eagle River. Now, I don't necessarily think if you've owned a condo in Eagle River, that means the average sold price has gone up by 11%, but that does indicate that we are seeing an increase for the demand for condos that are on the market. Now, keep in mind, once we start getting such a small sample size, it really does come down to which properties are going onto the market. Like maybe only the really newer, nice condos are going onto the market, and that obviously can throw all the numbers off here. So I wouldn't necessarily take this to the bank, is what I'm saying. I'm expecting to see a healthy appreciation, maybe not by as much as the numbers might indicate. All right, let's go and take a break real quick here. For those of you who aren't aware, I do host a podcast called the Alaskan Journey Podcast, where I interview people who have recently moved to Alaska or have lived here for a long time to talk about the state and what their likes, their dislikes are, how they got here, if they have any tips for driving the Alcan or the ferry system, all that good stuff. So if that's something that would benefit you and you just want to listen to it on the go, do make sure you go check that out in the description section down below, and have you there. And let's go and finish up today's video looking at the multifamily market. Now, looking at the multifamily market, I will say this is a usually pretty in-demand asset class in Eagle River because we have a lot of people who do want to move here for a lot of reasons. I can talk more about it in private, but we do have a lot of people who do want to move to Eagle River, and that means that we are going to need to start accommodating these people in some way, and so multifamily is really the mechanism by which we do that. And for that reason, these multifamily properties are pretty valuable, and so if you're a property owner who does have a multifamily property in Eagle River, you usually don't want to let them go, especially if you have a low interest rate on them. Now, what we're seeing is that this time last year there was 1 multifamily property on the market, and now there are 3. So that's a good indication that we're starting to get some of those landlords who are kind of letting go and ready to let the next people in to be the landlord for that particular property. And also, usually around this time of year, we'd see anywhere from about 8 to like 13 properties available on the market. So going up, but we still got a long way to go as far as the inventory goes. Now, just looking at the number of multifamily properties that have actually sold this time last year, there was 0. This time there's 1. And just with the inventory being so sparse, you can understand that there's really, you look at this chart, it's just, you can keep going. There's going to be a lot of months, or some months, a sizable number of months, where it's just not any property selling whatsoever. And so that's just something that we kind of keep in mind. With the inventory being so small, it's going to be a little hit or miss sometimes if condos or if multifamily properties are selling. Sorry. Now, looking at the average sold price, I'm going to preface this by saying that average sold price for multifamily property includes everything from the little duplex all the way up to like the big honkin' 30-plex commercial multifamily property. So it really does encompass all of that, and so it can throw a lot of the numbers off here. But for what it's worth, the average sold price went from about $428,000 this time last year to about $664,000 this year. And I can almost guarantee, like I know the property that threw all the numbers off there, but the big thing is, no, the average sold price did not increase for multifamily properties by nearly $200,000. So if you have something in Eagle River, that doesn't mean the price has gone up by that much. We're seeing a healthy appreciation, probably not quite that much. That's also predicated off of you actually keeping up with the maintenance, making sure you have a well-run property, the tenants are enjoying living there, and making sure that your rents are actually in line with what the market is. So yeah, that's what we're seeing as far as multifamily in Eagle River. Now let's go and give you a summary just for the entire market. I'm looking at the single family property market and I'm a buyer. I'm taking some heart because there are more properties coming on the market than there were this time last year. And also prices are going to pretty much stay the same. I'm honestly surprised that they're not higher. There's still high demand. And I think really what we're seeing is a lot of the folks in the higher priced homes, they're just not wanting to let go of them because of the low interest rates. And so you have some people that have to move, and those folks can more often than not kind of be on the homes that are more in like that mid fours, maybe low fives, and maybe more folks in like the upper ends that normally would be considering selling if it weren't for the low interest rates are kind of hanging on to what they have. That's one theory I have as to why the average sold price is really like staying exactly where it's at. While it still feels like every property that goes on in the market has a lot of attention and gets a lot of traction really fast. If I'm a seller, this is still pretty much a seller's market here. It's not what it was back around the COVID era, so you've got to do some work. You got to make sure everything looks good. Got to make sure that we do everything we need to do as far as the marketing and everything, make sure it shows in the best light. But we're not where we were a couple of years ago, where you could just throw spaghetti against the wall and just get whatever you want. But it's still pretty favorable towards sellers just because there's still not a whole lot of options out there. There are more people who want to live here than there are homes. So just don't overplay your hand and you'll do okay. Give me a call if you want help figuring out what that balance is. Now looking at condos, really the inventory is pretty low right at the moment still, and it's kind of favorable. But it's kind of the same story with the residential side if I'm a buyer or a seller. So not a whole lot of change there. And it just kind of depends on the area that it is you want to settle in within Eagle River. And for multifamily property, just make sure the properties actually pencil out. Just because you get a property in Eagle River does not mean you've necessarily hit the jackpot. You have to make sure the numbers actually make sense for the deal that you're talking about. So this has been your real estate market update talking about Eagle River. I really hope it's been useful. If it has, you know what to do. Give this video a like, all that good stuff, and we'll see you next time.